Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Gen Trailblazers. I'm your host, Gabriel Mustaciuolo, and today we have Rob Walker with Gas Money Inc. How you doing, Rob?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for coming on the show today. I appreciate it. So like our first episode today, we're going to be talking about, college experience, what it's like running a business in college, and just go from there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited. Feels nice having the sound in the ear too. It's my first. I've done a podcast before with it, but it's a lot more easy to keep track of.
Oh yeah, this is
with the sound.
This is definitely a nice setup. So Rob, let's talk about your company a little bit. Let's get a little overview for all the listeners.
Yeah, so the business is called Gas Money, like Gabe said. We started it, me and my best friend, back in high school, originally as a lawn care business. We met as double partners on the Davidson High School tennis team, which is a small school in Michigan. And we wanted a way to earn money with our busy schedules. And we looked at a couple different fast food jobs, retail jobs, and the schedules were all just kind of strict. We were both busy with obviously sports and school at the same time. So we decided to do what a lot of high school students do and just go out and buy a couple cheap lawnmowers, start knocking at doors around the neighborhoods, made a small Facebook page. And we called it Gas Money originally because we're just two high school guys looking to earn some gas money.
Yeah, of course.
So that's where the name come from. And then obviously, over time, it grew, started hiring some of our friends to work with us, and we chose to hire them as independent contractors. That way they could control their own schedule, have the same freedoms that we enjoyed being our own bosses. And eventually, one day I was mowing a lawn. We were grinding. We were doing like 40, 50 lawns a week, just like me in Austin,
crazy.
Which was wild, especially with school and stuff. We'd like get out of school, go straight to lawn mowing, and then work till dark every day. But it was awesome. We were making a lot of money, obviously, in high school, not having to pay rent, getting food fed by our families and stuff. So I was mowing the lawn one day and I was like, man, this is cool. Like, we're connecting hungry, motivated young adults with homeowners in their community who need people to do services. And I was like, why don't we come up with like the Uber for lawn care? And at the time, I thought I was a genius. And then we looked and we were like, okay, there's a ton of Ubers for lawn care out there already. How are we going to differentiate? Mm-hmm. It was like right in our face. Like, let's use our student-led business model where we're helping students not only earn money, earn gas money, but also get experience. So that's what Gas Money is today. It's essentially a marketplace, kind of like that Uber or DoorDash setup, where we're connecting hungry, motivated high school and college students with homeowners in their community for over 35 different services. So we do all the simple stuff like lawn care, landscaping, car detailing, house cleaning, pretty much any service that a young adult could do on their own without too much training or too much help. And right now it's been going really good. Like I said, we grew up in Michigan, so we're in 3 main counties in Michigan. We're in Genesee, Kalamazoo, and Oakland County. And then we just recently expanded down to Tallahassee. So
nice.
Trying to get kind of around Michigan and Florida.
So with your lawn care service, how many users have you had on the platform so far? I guess like how many customers have you had, and then how many, student entrepreneurs have you had?
Yeah, great question. So there's a large difference between total downloads, total users versus active. So totals were around 550 client accounts and then a little over 700 contractor accounts. And with the contractor accounts, we had one TikTok that went viral and we got like 250 downloads in a day, which was super cool. But the issue is, since we're based on a geographical location, a lot of those accounts that signed up weren't able to work. So right now, in the 3 counties in Michigan, we've got around 20 active contractors that are working today. And then as for clients, I would say it ranges anywhere from like 50 to 75 every month, which is pretty cool.
And is this on the App Store? Is this on Android?
Yeah,
Store?
It's on Apple Store, iOS Store, same thing, obviously, and then Google Play Store for Android. And then we made it as a web app. So when we were originally looking to develop a platform, we had the choice between doing a native app, which is obviously customized for iOS and the Google Play Store, or doing the web, which also works on your browser. And since many of our clients are a little older and might not be familiar with technology, we decided to go the web app route. So that way, if they don't have a smartphone or if they have trouble using apps, they're able to just type in Gas Money in the browser.
Awesome. That's pretty smart, especially, with your clientele being in a certain age demographic. You want to make sure you can serve them well. And so with Gas Money. So when exactly did you start? So you said that you started this in high school, but when was that?
Yeah, so it was 2018. So at the time I was 16, and then my co-founder Austin was 17. So we were pretty young. Just had never had really real experience in business. And when we started it, we didn't even really view it as a business, if that makes sense.
Just like a side gig,
trying to hustle and make some money. And then we actually established an LLC, which we should have done earlier. But, we established an LLC in 2020. That's when we obviously like got our EIN number, got a business bank account, got insurance, which obviously you're supposed to have if you're doing a business like this in lawn care industry, landscaping. And then we launched the app in September of 2021. So we did the official business about a year and a half. And then like into that second year is when we started reaching out to development companies. And then it took about, I think it was originally set for like a 6-month launch period, like a development period of 6 months. And then we were going to launch like middle of summer when it's like peak. And obviously with development, there's always stuff that comes up.
Yeah, there's always issues. So
ended up launching the MVP September of 2021. And then now we're actually on version 2, which we launched late 2022.
Nice. So that's everything's working well now with that. And you have I can only imagine there's still some bugs maybe, but how's that going? Because that's not in your control. Because I'm assuming you like contracted out a developer for that.
Yeah. So Austin and I, being founders in a company that's now a tech company, if you want to put it that way, we don't have any coding experience. Like I took AP programming in high school.
That was it.
Was very bad at it. Like I give a lot of respect to coders because I mean, once you get the basics of it, I'm sure it's like easier to learn, but it's very complex at the beginning. So at first we were like, oh, we could try and learn to code this on our own, which is actually what one of our friends did from high school. He has a similar app. Well, he's done a couple different apps now, but during COVID, he just taught himself how to code. And then now he's created like 3 different apps just based on his own experience. So we thought about going that route. We were like, hey, we've already got clients. If we learn code, it's going to take a long time. So let's just hire a company. So we went on Upwork, which is...
yeah, I've heard Upwork.
Yeah. So we reached out to a couple different companies. We ended up finding a company out of California called Dayton LLC. We spoke with their CEO. He was like walking us through the whole process and it ended up being pretty good. And, with the app, especially in the MVP, in terms of bugs, there was a lot.
Yeah.
Like we went through we do like iterations of testing where we'd have like a Google Doc. We'd write down everything that's going wrong and then send it back. We did at least like 25 or 30 of those before we were able to launch it. And then after launch for that MVP, there was a couple of times where like payments wouldn't go through or there would be like an issue with the scheduling and we'd get those handled because we had like a maintenance plan. So we were able to address those pretty quickly. But now, for the most part, it works great. Like
pretty seamless now.
Any major bugs that have come up. But that's one thing with technology. And I don't even like still understand it. Like you can have a perfectly good app and then out of nowhere, there's just something like a bug that'll come up.
Yeah, no. I like what you said about like respect, like for coders, because I think it was 2 summers ago now. It was kind of funny. This was like when like NFTs were all the craze and everything. And everybody was like, oh, let's start an NFT company. So I was like, screw it. So, I actually sat down with my mom one summer and because she's pretty artistic. So we drew up all these, I think the program ended up developing about 230 NFTs from all our drawings. And I had to code that all in Java. So I was like sitting down all summer following like, videos on YouTube, like, how to code this program to, create NFTs. And we didn't go any further than that because once we got to like, okay, we had the NFTs generated, blah, blah, blah. Then it was just like, a whole bunch of, then it was like blockchain and, your gas for like producing NFTs. And I kind of like got roadblocked there, but it was that experience alone of like just the coding for that. I was like, yeah, I definitely respect people who do this. I can't do it myself. I would like to learn some code, probably Python eventually. Pretty rudimentary. And I did experiment with a language called R in one of my classes this semester actually, which is a lot of it is just like data, like it uses like graphs and Excel data and stuff. But now even just that, like doing that, getting that to work in class was like, it was difficult enough for me. So I was like, yeah, this is something I'll probably never teach myself, but I do respect people who like will sit down and, spend that's their career. They make a career out of it. I actually had one of my roommates last year, he got his bachelor's and his master's degree from FSU in comp sci. And now he's working for a company in Atlanta doing like warehouse logistics, but he does like the back end side of that. And, he would spend like 90% of his time in his room coding. So
yeah, it's a good skill to have. I mean, one of our mentors, when we were doing the innovation challenge here at FSU, which is like the big pitch competition, his name's Jackie Levy, and he coded like his whole entire platform and he integrated like machine learning. He's working on integrating AI and he started out at IBM, like right out of college.
Oh, wow. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Like he'd launched his business before, but he wanted to get like more experience, obviously make some more money. So went into IBM and he was doing good with that. Like IBM, obviously they're a large company.
Yeah.
that was a great experience for him. And then he ended up kind of like using the experience he got from there. And then the money he'd saved up to just go full out into his business, which is called AthLogic. And it's essentially like sports tracking.
I've heard. Yeah, I met him actually. Yeah.
Yeah, really great guy. It's like sports tracking for high school students because I mean, there's a lot of barriers, with stat keeping. You got like Huddle, but
I've had plenty of friends in high school where like on the Huddle grind, like posting all their highlights.
So it's pretty limited. But with him, he's trying to integrate like AI machine learning. I don't know too much about it, obviously, but he was telling us it's like a good skill to have, and he was actually like trying to get us to learn code on our own. We were just like really busy and never got around to it. But I mean, like that's good for you because it's a good skill, and especially with technology nowadays. Like,
of course. I want to give a quick shout out to a company called Accio. They're based out of, I believe it's Honolulu in Hawaii. And I also believe the people who started the company. I think they're Harvard graduates. I might be wrong with that information. Don't quote me on that. But they launched this company called Accio when we were actually kind of beta testing it for them in our classes here. Our professor, met with them. He's really big into AI. Professor Ron Fraser.
I've heard of him. I've never had him.
Yeah. So he ran like he was running a tech company back in the 80s, 90s. And this company, Accio, they kind of pivoted a little bit, but their original model was they do machine-based learning, and it's a learning language model. And you basically take your data, Excel, any kind of data you take, and you can put it into their program, and it could sort your data, clean your data, anything you want to do with your data. But once it's cleaned up and ready, they actually utilize ChatGPT, and you can ask prompts and ask questions about the data. So it could do linear regressions, things like that. It will give you predictions. Let's say you have like for your company, for example, okay, you want to know how many of your customers are repeat, or what is like just any trends in your data that you want to see. You can use it. And this is something. It's still in development. They pivoted now. They're looking to go to, instead of like the small business route and target those business users, they want to target almost like larger consulting firms to have this as a tool for them to use for their clients. And it's I believe you can get a free account. We have the paid version for a cost, but I believe you can get a free account and you can upload your data, clean up, ask a question. And I think it's going to be pretty useful. There's a few companies out there like that now, but that's one of them, Accio. So if you want to go check it out, I would definitely recommend that for anybody listening. If you're interested in like AI learning and data and prediction models, I would definitely go check out Accio. They're a pretty cool company. We got to meet with some of their founders and some of their programmers during this semester. So it was really cool hearing from the people who are actually like behind the company.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I mean, dude, data is huge. And that's something we realized with Gas Money, because I mean, with any app you have, you're going to have like the admin panel, right? Where you can see all the user counts, everything like that. And we've actually like gone into our database before, and we have so many different rows of data that aren't displayed in that admin dashboard.
Like tens of thousands.
Yeah, like it's insane. And like what you said about ChatGPT, like we've done that before, where we've got like a ton of rows of data, like tens of thousands, like you said, put them in there. And obviously it's kind of limited, but we'll have it like make a chart and say like, all right, like display this client data. And it's like, it's powerful, but it would be cool if we had a software where we could just like see it up front.
Yeah, I would check out Accio. Then they're pretty cool. They they're still growing. They're still working on it, but it's I think something for you, something like somebody who does run a small business, like even though that's not where they're going in this direction anymore, but I still think it's pretty applicable.
Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to go back on something you said, what you originally said about you guys being the Uber for lawn care service. Do you guys, and this isn't really an Uber story, this is more of an Airbnb story, but the guys who founded Airbnb, not too long into them starting, they actually they met up with one of their first clients who rented out, I think it was his home or maybe it was a room at the time. This is when they were first getting started. And they met up with the guy and they were asking questions. And this guy actually he kept a whole log of all his guests and everything about the platform and their experience. And he kind of like gifted them this like handbook of everything he was experiencing. And it kind of helped them like innovate what they were doing. And so I was wondering if if you guys, do you guys take feedback from your clients, your customers? Like, what does that look like for you? What's when in your innovation process?
Yeah, I would say feedback is huge. And in the beginning stages, it was nice because Austin and I were hands-on with like almost every job we did. And we still had, I think in the beginning, it was like 5 other high school students that went to our school that were working with us constantly. And the biggest thing we'd push is like, hey, like when you're finished with the job, first of all, like ask the client how you did, make sure you got everything done, because nothing's worse than saying you're finished, leaving, and then getting a call like, hey, you missed this,
or you want a refund.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, everybody deals with that. So
yeah, of course.
Feedback's huge. And in terms of like automation, we actually added reviews for contractors after they finish the job. And that's helped out quite a bit.
It's like a rating system?
Yeah, it's like a 5-star rating system. Nice. Once the client pays, they have an option to tip, which usually they do, which is pretty cool. And then they have the option to give like a out of 5-star rating. And most of our contractors like always get 5 stars, which is cool. And they can put in like comments. But if there's a job where maybe it's like a 3-star, 2-star, or 1-star, we'll look at what the comment is. We'll call the client, we'll call the contractor and like figure it out, kind of like damage control. And like one thing I've learned, especially in business, like no matter what you're doing, like the client always comes first.
Of course.
And for us, we have the dual-sided marketplace. So we got to make sure we satisfy the clients. But if there's a client that was like giving a contractor a hard time, or like a contractor thought they did everything that was requested, like we'll make sure we talk to the contractor too and get it sorted out. Because nothing's worse than like if like a contractor thinks they did a really good job and then getting a call from a client like, yeah, they messed this up. And the contractor has no idea. Like it's bad if we would automatically call the contractor, be like, hey, like you messed up. Like instead it's like, hey, we got a comment from this client about this job.
What's
like,
going on?
What's going on? And just kind of taking that approach. And just with feedback in general too, in the beginning with our MVP, a lot of the features that we made were like based on Austin and I's experience. So we made like an integrated calendar because we were doing, we would literally have like a sheet of paper for each day where we'd write down like what jobs we have, how much we're charging. And it was hard to keep track of. So we added that. We added collaboration. So new contractors can like work with friends and kind of get guidance. And in that beginning stage, like after every job, we'd like talk with the contractors, be like, hey, how do you like the app? Like it's obviously pretty new. And like same with clients, like how do you like these features? What could you see change? What could be better? And through that feedback, we were able to get like a couple major changes into version 2 that came directly from our clients and contractors that we wouldn't have like wanted to think of on our own. Because obviously when you have a business, you have this vision for it, but you don't really understand if that vision is going to work or not until you actually put it into action. So like one of the things we had in the beginning version, the MVP, is when a client wanted to pay for a job, they'd have to go into the message center and like almost like a Venmo button where they'd click on the pay button, pay the contractor like that. But we ended up having a lot of clients that would get confused, like, hey, how do I know if the job's done? Like, I'm going to pay this guy, but is the job finished?
Yeah,
like everything like that. So to address that, we added invoicing.
Nice.
So once the contractor finishes, they can like upload pictures of the job. They can put like the quoted price. They can put a comment. And then the client gets like a notification once that invoice is sent. And then they just click right into the invoice to pay instead of having to like manually go into messages.
Who do you use for your invoicing? Is you use Square or?
Yeah, we use Stripe Connect.
Okay.
So the invoicing is actually like integrated directly into the app. Nice. Shout out to our coders. That was a really good integration. But everything payment wise is handled by Stripe, and that's who like DoorDash uses. It's used by a ton of major companies. And one piece of advice I'd give too is in the beginning, we had the choice of either handling the payments in-house or outsourcing and like paying a little extra to use Stripe. And we decided to go to the Stripe route because there's a lot less liability, you know,
of course, yeah.
With the contractors, Stripe stores, like their social security numbers, their bank account information. Then obviously with the clients, it's all like credit cards, debit cards.
Yeah, it's all confidential information that you don't want to be liable for.
Exactly. So we went that route and it's been a lifesaver. And I mean, I think it's like we have to pay, I think there's a yearly subscription, which isn't too much. And then it's like 2.9% on each payment. So
okay. So that's similar to using Square. I think they take like, I think Square does like 2.5, 2.9% plus 10 cents on every transaction and invoice as well.
Yeah. So that's been really helpful. And it's just one of those things too, you know, like if you're handling people's information with any business, you want to mitigate liability.
Of course.
So we decided to go that route just to kind of reduce it a little bit.
So I just want to ask you, because I experienced this this past year, actually. We were doing a rug for a client, and actually she found us through social media, which was nice because it was kind of like some organic growth. So it was nice to see like people come to our page and then, you know, then they put in an order, and that was the first time we used Square invoicing. We used Square in the past for like in-person events, but this was the first time we like tested out Square's invoicing system, because we also used like PayPal in the past. Didn't really like it, and we were already using Square for all of our other in-person transactions, so we're like, might as well. Really awesome system. we do like the 50% upfront if it's over $100. So it was nice to have that integrated. And we had like payment set up with reminders. So it worked perfectly. And where I'm going with this, I wanted to ask, she basically said, like after it was delivered, we reached back out to her on Instagram. We're like, how do you like the product? It was a gift for her son. How does your son enjoy it? And she basically said that, she wanted a refund. It was a horrible product. It was falling apart. And that was actually her first ever complaint.
Really?
In almost 3 years of business. That was our first ever complaint. And I was like, you know what? Let's go about this the right way. So we asked her, hey, let's get some pictures. Let's see like what's going on. Because anything could happen. But we've sent products to Georgia before. I've shipped products all the way out to California, and they've arrived like perfectly, no damage, no nothing. And I always get insurance on all of our shipping because I want to make sure I can get the money back if anything did happen in transit. And she ghosted us, asked on 2 occasions, for pictures. Let's try to, solve this problem. And she never answered us back. So I just wanted to know if, have you ever experienced that with a customer, like a shady customer trying to, get one over on you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It happens in any business. And at the beginning, like we took it personally, like we weren't like, we would like give them like a few calls just trying to figure out what happened. And a lot of it was like maybe a contractor like missed a spot on their lawn or like mowed it too short or something like that. Because lawn care is like the main service we offer at the beginning. Now we're kind of expanding out a little bit. But like after a while, we realized like if they're not willing to give us the feedback on like how we can help improve for the next time, they're not going to be a good client. Like one thing that I've learned just as we've kind of grown is like your highest quality clients and contractors, especially in a business like ours, which is heavy with word of mouth. Those are the ones you want to keep coming back and like referring new people, because especially with contractors, if you have somebody that's like grinding a ton of lawns a week, you want them to be the ones referring new friends instead of somebody that like doesn't really use the app. And like for clients, we have a lot of clients that have been super loyal to us, like even before the app, and they're still using us today.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And which is really cool to see. And everybody they refer, like they'll be like, hey, I just referred my uncle. I referred my neighbor. It's always a great referral because somebody's like, they're going into using gas money with the idea that somebody that they know and they're close to has already had a positive experience. But with the people that might not give us good feedback or like you said, like just straight up ghosted you.
Yeah.
After a couple of times reaching out, it's not even worth it.
It's
like,
not. Yeah.
Just you just got to let them go. And
yeah.
It's just a part of it.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. And we implement like a no refund policy really because, handcrafted piece of art practically is what we sell. So, it's a little difficult for us to like, go back on that and, eat the costs and everything. So we do put that in our invoices and our receipts, no refunds. So.
But you focus on quality control too.
Exactly. Yeah. And, there's been numerous times where like, we've done pieces and, it's not up to par. And, we'll reach back out to the client, listen, like, hey, it didn't turn out the way that we wanted it for you. So, if you can give us like, another week, we'll send it back out. And that's happened on a handful of occasions, not too many. And they've been pretty cool. We actually had a guy out of Miami. We did a piece for it, and one of our pieces of machinery broke, and we were down for like a month and a half to get a new piece. And he was really cool. He was really chill about it. He's like, hey, I get it. Things happen. And we even offered him a discount. We've been waiting for like a month plus for this product when our turnaround time's like 2 weeks. And he actually ended up paying full anyway after we offered him like 30% discount. So yeah, he was pretty cool. He was pretty cool about it. So, but we haven't really run into that problem too many times, which is nice because, it takes 2 weeks to make a product and you'll make another one. That's another 2 weeks. That's, more material. So it's been pretty nice. I do want to shift gears a little bit and kind of talk about, so you started before college. You started high school. It's a great story. We love to see like entrepreneurs like continue their passion project, from a young, like 16, 17 years old and all the way up until now you're 22 now. So
yeah, I turned 22 in a few weeks.
Nice. So it's been a long time coming. How have you handled doing that, especially with your partner being all the way in Michigan and we're in Florida while you're in college? Like what did that look like for you?
Yeah, it's a great question, especially like in college. Obviously we're at Florida State University. So starting out, I got into college right at the onset of COVID and it kind of forced us, like, obviously we have the geographical distance. My partner's up in Michigan. I'm all the way down in Florida. It's like a 16-hour drive. So we're not going to be like connecting that much in person. But with COVID, I mean, everybody started using Zoom. It was kind of like the standard in a lot of like workplaces and businesses. And we started doing we had set up like a weekly meeting. And obviously like that's a good thing to have, but honestly like do more. We do like every day almost.
Nice,
like just like connect. Like we'd have one weekly meeting where we'd like spend like 2 hours on the phone or on the Zoom call, just like talking about plans for the business, everything like that. But we'd also like call every day and just be like, hey, like I'd call him because he was like actually still doing the jobs. He was more like monitoring the contractors. And I'd be like, yeah, like how these jobs go, like any feedback you got. So like staying connected is huge. And I don't think you should like distance get in the way of that, because with me in Austin, we've been able to do everything that I think we could have done in person, just over the phone and online. As for kind of balancing business and college, you know, when I started out, it was definitely like an interesting adaptation. You know, with like I had 5 different classes my freshman year, and most of them were online. So I was able to kind of
a
like
lot of free time.
Yeah, have a lot more free time, which was nice. But as I got into the more in-person classes and everything, the one thing that we found is like it would just be blocks of time that we weren't available to like collaborate or like have meetings. So as we've grown, we've done a lot of connecting with people. We'll reach out on like LinkedIn. We'll meet people at like career fairs or like in different events here at Florida State. I've met a lot of amazing people, and just like trying to like stay in touch with them too, like scheduling meetings. I would say that's one of the hardest things, like when you're in school, is just finding time to like talk with people, because I think I'm a big believer that your network is greater than your net worth. So we'd spend like all the time we could like trying to meet as many people as possible. And I think the advantage for us is that we were split geographically. So Austin was able to make a ton of connections.
Like 2 whole separate networks.
Yeah, exactly. So I've established a great network down here in Tallahassee. And then obviously Austin and Michigan has established a great network, not only like in high school and we were still in there together, but also like beyond high school. We've met a ton of people that have helped us. So, I mean, I would say networking is a big part of it. And I guess that kind of strayed away from the question. I guess just getting into like the meat of like what it's like to have a business and be in school, you really have to figure out how to like schedule your time.
Oh, no, like 100%.
Schedule management.
Yeah, no, I think what was the benefit for me is when we first started, you know, we started right out of Landis. So, you know, it was the availability, and during COVID, you know, we could always work together because there was a lot of downtime when everything was online. And so, you know, over the years, our availability for each other has gone down, especially with like our coursework and us being both in grad school. So, but I understand that though, just like trying to connect and, you know, be on top of that. I think communications, it's like my top priority with any relationship I have, business, personal, anything like that. You know, I like to be connected and, you know what's going on, get some, you know, even if it's like a little bit of connection, like a little bit of communication, you know, hey, check up what's going on, how we're doing this, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. And one thing I found too is kind of like going into school, you know, especially as an entrepreneur, a lot of entrepreneurs tell you not to go to college.
Yeah. For me, it's like, oh, you don't need college. You can learn that on YouTube. You don't need that.
Which, I mean, I probably could have, especially like with business, but with college, I started out in actuarial science, which is like business statistics.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard as shit. And the reason I did it is in school, I was always really good with math and I like numbers.
I'm like,
I kind of had that
reverse.
kind of opposite. You're more like the artistic side. I feel.
No, not even. I would actually. I just started like finding out that like I think I'm an artistic person now, but not like when I first started. I was like, that's why I needed to find somebody who was artistic, and I'm happy I found my partner because, you know, she's extremely artistic, and if it wasn't for that, then we wouldn't be where we are today. But like going back, like I just for me, it's more conceptual. I like the concept. I like breaking things down, but math is still not my strong suit. But.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned that, because in college, it's a good time to figure out, or like after high school, it's a great time to figure out like what you want to do, like what you're good at. And out of high school, I thought it was numbers, like I said. And then, dude, funny story, my first exam. So like actuarial science, for like any listeners that don't know, it's really hard. Like there's a lot of complex formulas. Like they're basically like a simple way to explain what it is. It's like you're figuring out the chance of somebody dying, so you know how much to charge for their policy, for their life insurance policy, like stuff along those lines.
It's all statistical, right?
Very statistical. So my first exam, I'm feeling pretty confident, but it's hard stuff. And like, just like a side note for the viewers too, like I was valedictorian in my high school, which like all that means is I'm good at taking tests.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people.
Hey, still number one though.
Still number one, but there were so many kids in my high school.
What was your graduating class?
It was 360. So it's like decent.
I mean, for, you know, being from South Florida, you know, that's kind of small.
Yeah,
because ours was like double that. Ours was like 720, so like almost exactly double that.
Yeah, no, I grew up in a small town, but like it gave me that confidence. I was like, oh, I can do actuarial science. And before the first exam, I studied. It was like 6-7 hours of studying the night before, which is like pretty standard in college if you're doing a hard degree, I feel like. I go to the class, or it was online because it was COVID still.
The honor lock exam?
Yeah, honor lock, dude. I hate honor lock. But I go take the exam. It's 10 questions, 10 multiple choice questions out of 4. So I'm like, oh yeah, the worst I'll get is 20%. Like I'll be fine. I got 10. I got a 10%.
Oh my God.
And dude, the funny thing is, like, so speaking with somebody who was on statistics, if I would have guessed on all the questions, I should have got a 20%.
Yeah.
But bro, I worked through all the problems. I thought I knew what I was doing. And then I get my grade back 10%. I'm like, if this isn't a sign that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, So I kind of took that as like, why don't I go into something more business oriented? And with Florida State, they have like a dedicated entrepreneurship college, which is the Jim Moran College. Great for entrepreneurs. And like at the time, I hadn't really learned enough about it. We were still early in gas money. It was like fall of 2020. So we didn't even have like the app being developed yet. So I was like, I'll go the safe route and take the first one I did. I'll take finance because that was still numbers, but it was more like along the lines of business. So I switched to the finance major, and that got me into the School of Business. So like the next semester, took all of the general education classes, started out in the School of Business, and then didn't really enjoy my accounting classes. So I switched to management. And then after taking a little bit of management, I remember it was my first marketing class I took with Dr. Brady. Like that was like, okay, like I can actually use this for gas money. Because at that time, we were now in development of the app. I'm like, I'm in the School of Business. I don't really want to switch to the School of Entrepreneurship now because I've already taken all my prereqs. I don't want to delay graduation.
Yeah, exactly.
So I switched to the marketing major, and that's what I'm going to be graduating with. Like since then, my classes, I took like a social media marketing class. Nice. I've taken a couple different like market research classes where you learn how to actually use data for your advantage, how to create surveys. And that experience, like I would say, if you are going into college and like you have ideas of starting a business or you already have a business, like find a major that fits what you're doing. I mean, it sounds pretty obvious, but for me, it's helped a ton.
No, for sure. And not to cut you off, but I feel like I was just going to bring this up. You switched, you're on your 4th major now, you're graduating, which is awesome. But I think that's a statistic. I think it's like, on the average, you'll change your major like 4 times in college. So you are the statistic.
Yeah. And you have to be willing to change. Like a lot of people, humans by nature don't like change.
Of course.
We get into our habits. We like to get comfortable. And I would say if you're young, especially if you're in college, like you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Because for me, being somebody in high school who thought I had my whole like life planned out with actuarial science and then gas money on the side, it was like a big decision to drop the actuarial science major and move into business and marketing. And since then, like, it's been amazing. Like the past semester, I ended up taking a couple sales classes.
Nice.
And from that, like, I think like that's one of my main passions now is sales. Like, especially in business, you have to learn the main thing like that goes into sales is just literally being able to communicate with people.
A people person.
A people person.
Yeah.
And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is no matter what you do in life, you're going to be using sales. Like if you're like going into the military, you're going to have to talk to people and show them why you should be like,
you got to sell yourself
the next level. If you go into like the police academy, I'm just trying to use examples that aren't related to entrepreneurship or sales just to show, but like you have to be able to talk to people and show them why you deserve to be either hired or show them why you deserve to be invested in. And especially like even just like at the bar, like you want to go talk to some girls, you're going to be selling yourself. You got to like, first of all, let them know like you're not like a creep or a weirdo. Like you got to know what to say. You got to know how to lead the conversation. And as humans, like that's the one skill I would tell anybody to learn is sales. Yeah.
No, I like that. And it's funny because I have a buddy back home who I'm actually starting another business with. A great guy. I've known him since like 6th grade now. So I think it's this year will be like 11 years we've known each other. And awesome guy. And he could sell like the ocean with a glass of water.
Sell me this pen.
Yeah, he's that guy. Like he can talk to anybody and everybody, and he's always done that. As long as I've known him, he could. I mean, it's just incredible because he was in like super academic, and he plays D1 football now. And shout out Morehead State University. It's his. I think this is his last year. Maybe next year's his last year playing, and his sales skills are just immaculate. Like he could do it. And I think, just watching him do that and you talking about it, like it's something that it doesn't matter what your major is. You should be able to, at the very least, sell yourself. Like if you can't sell yourself, then that's something you need to work on. But I also think that like, and because correct me if I'm wrong, but you're minoring in entrepreneurship, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I also, and I might just be biased because I've spent, the last 4 years in the gym and college entrepreneurship, but I think it's a great minor, especially if you don't know like what exactly you want to do, or, you want to focus on what your main major is, but, just getting that skill set, because sales is a part of it. Marketing is a part of it. Numbers, everything. Just it's a kind of like a way to conduct yourself almost. That's how I see it. And I think for any of you guys listening out there and you don't know what you want to do and or you want to pick another skill up, I think, either sales or entrepreneurship is a great like secondary skill to pick up, because everything's a business and everything's you can sell anything, whether it's yourself, an idea, product, service, and everything's a business. It doesn't matter if you're in medical, if you're in law, poli-sci, anything. It's everything. You can run everything like a business. I've always believed that. Like you can run everything like that.
So, I mean, humans are businesses. If you really want to think about it that way, like
Rob LLC.
Yes, exactly. I mean, when you're born, you're given a 9-digit name, your social security number, and you're seen by the government as a business. So
as a number.
You have to be treated, you have to treat yourself like that. And like, I'm not like reducing that. I'm saying, like form a personal brand, like figure out goals for yourself. Like every business has a mission statement. Why not create a mission statement for yourself?
I like that.
And I'm reading a book right now. It's called High Performance Habits by Brandon Burchard. And it talks about the different ways like people become successful. And he did this whole entire research study over like 15 to 20 years where he'd get interviews with very successful people, like people in the Forbes list, people that are very successful CEOs, and figure out what they all have in common, because there's got to be a formula to become successful. And he was very oriented towards like marketing research. And like his original thing was like being a life coach, like helping people out, consulting. And what he found is that there were 6 major skills that all of these people had in common. And like, I don't know the last 3 out of the top of my head because I'm only halfway through the book.
Okay.
But like one of the first ones he talks about is seeking clarity. And what that means is like figuring out what you are, like who you are, like what you want to do. And especially as a young person, whether you're in high school or college or even like in your late 20s, I mean, you're still young in the grand scheme of things. Like you have time to figure it out, but like actively put an effort to seeking like what you want to do with your life. And one of the things he said that like stood out to me and that like prompted me to say like the personal mission statement is he found that like everybody who was extremely successful, when he was interviewing them, he would ask, define your mission in 3 words, like define yourself in 3 words. And those who are successful could do it. But the people that like weren't really there yet would have trouble because they didn't really have that clarity. So based on that, I created my personal mission statement, which is to love, to live, and then legacy. And I think that kind of encompasses everything that I want to do with my life. Like it sounds broad, but like it specifically means certain things to me. But like kind of bringing it back around, like just figuring out who you are, what you want to do, and like almost treating yourself as a business where every time you talk to somebody, they're going to remember you for like how you treated them, how your reputation is. And just going back to sales, like it has a bad rep. Everybody thinks like, oh, salespeople are pushy, salespeople don't care about you. And that may be true for some. There's always going to be bad apples and there's always going to be people that are like pushy or arrogant. But one thing I've found, and it's actually a lesson I learned from my dad, he's been in sales for over 20 years, selling truck equipment for a company called Knapheide. And he told me the one thing that's gotten him to where he is today is being genuine with people, asking them questions about their family. Like it doesn't all have to be business. And with what he sells, like he has competitors out there that might have like better equipment, or the customers that he has could probably get a better deal going with them in some instances. But he's been told on multiple occasions that the reason many of his like most valuable clients are going with him is because they like him as a person. So he like sold himself to them rather than necessarily
whatever the product was.
Yeah. So it's just being genuine with people. Everybody puts on a fake face and we're all just humans, man. Like, be nice.
I like that because I think like, I think personal perception means a lot. And especially like, how do you want to portray yourself? I mean, I think we should all try to be genuine. And, sometimes there's instances where you really can't, and that's understandable. And you kind of have to, fit into like a status quo. But I think like you being your best self or trying to be every day is a really good mindset. And I like that because, there's like, I was actually having a conversation with my mom the other day and we were just talking about like, the saying like, it's not about what you know, but it's about who you know, and having friends in high places. I also think, it's also about like having friends in low places too. keep treating, you'll shake anybody's hand. That's what I'm a firm believer in that, no matter where somebody comes from with their careers, their profession, their walk of life, like, treat them all the same because, you never know where that could help you out in life. And, if you act that way with all your relationships, and I think, you're on a pretty straight path, and whether that's whatever that is in your life, then like, just being able to treat everybody with the same respect. I think that's I know that sounds like pretty cliche, but it is important, especially in the business world too, whether, you're meeting with your vendors, we've had several vendors over the last couple of years, and, clients, customers, people we've collaborated with, if you treat them all the same level of respect, then, you should be, it should be a pretty positive experience. And, always, you've had Bob Garner, right?
Yeah, love that guy.
Did you take his negotiations class?
That was the class that really got me into sales and marketing.
Nice. Yeah. So he always said, like, always shoot for like the win-win, obviously, there might be some contentions and some things you have to compromise on, but like, just like if both people are happy to some degree, then I think like if you, at least in business, if you work it out that way, then like you should be successful.
Yeah. I'm a large believer in karma. And like you mentioned too, like, with the negotiation class, I was like a little skeptical at first. I'm like, oh man, like this is just going to push me to like be an asshole when I'm doing business deals and stuff like that, like the Steve Jobs approach. But it really taught me a lot too, just like with personal relationships, like something as simple as I have 5 other roommates and, sometimes the dishes don't get done. Sometimes the house doesn't get cleaned. And it's like, like if I put in work, even if nobody notices or nobody watches, like it's still worth it to me because it saves like
it's still something that's being done.
And like I mentioned, like I'm a big believer in karma. Like I think about like manifestation and stuff like that. But at the core level, regardless of your beliefs, like if you're nice to people, like you're going to become one of those who like everybody is nice to. One example too is like usually people who are negative or like assholes to everybody they know, like people that might have friends that aren't really their friends because they treat them poorly. They're usually the ones that are the most sad because everybody else treats them with like low respect because that's how they treat other people. So one thing I've realized just in any walk of life, if you're like willing to actually be nice to somebody, and like you said, even if it's somebody that seems like they wouldn't even have like a connection with you or they wouldn't be a valuable like friend to have, you never know. You can't judge a book by its cover. Like you never know what that person could offer. And I mean, even me, like if I'm walking like here in Tallahassee, like we have like homeless people around, like I'll look them in the eye and be like, hey, like how you doing today? Stuff like that. Like I'll get on like an elevator with a stranger. I'll start a conversation with them. Because we're all humans at the end of the day. Like you don't know what somebody's going through. And even people that are successful, like, I mean, like Robin Williams, everybody thought he was this happy guy. And then obviously he ended up like doing like, what happened with him. But it's just like, if people, instead of like going up and like trying to get pictures with them and like, hey, like get a picture with me, man. Like if they would have been like, how you doing today? Like, how's your life going? Like, how are you feeling? Like maybe that's what he needed. And obviously I don't know the situation, but you never know what people are going through. And if you're like friendly to people all the time and you treat them like a family member or a friend, it definitely helps. Yeah.
And tying this back into gas money, and this is interesting too, because, you started off like busting your ass, doing lawn care, doing exactly what your workers are doing, that your people, your contractors, you started exactly where they started practically. Now, like you said, you consider yourself like a tech company almost because it is application based, but it's like a tech service company. I wouldn't consider like a complete tech company, but obviously it's very tech forward.
It's in the tech sphere.
And this is something that I kind of experienced too, is, like I did plumbing for 2 summers. I worked down south. It sucked, but it taught me a lot. And, I think going back to like treating people with respect and, people come, shaking everybody's hand, and everybody has something different going on, like I feel like blue collar workers, especially like going to college, you want to, college kind of sets you up to be like white collar, and like get a really high paying job. And, that's kind of like I think that's a lot of people's aspirations when they go to college. Like you want to get a good paying job. And from a young age, I learned like, do you want to work with your hands or do you want to work with your head? And so being able to do, a blue collar job for 2 summers, and that's where you started with your company. It's like, I think it's a lot more respect there for people who do that day in and day out, like make the world run. And I just want to get your opinion. Like, how do you feel now that you're in like, you're on the opposite end of it now. Like you went from like busting your ass, working outside all day. You said you were, get out of high school, get out of classes, and you work till the sun went down. Like, how do you feel about that now? Like, do you have like a higher level of respect now for people who do that? Because I feel like at least like going through college, you kind of, I still think I see that every day. Like people just don't have a respect for like people who do the hard work that needs to be done every single day.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like blue collar workers, like a lot of people, there's a stigma around it. Like, oh, they weren't smart enough for college. Yeah. I think it's the complete opposite, man. Like, the one thing that I respect the most is they're learning a skill. And like you said, like with us, we're doing like more of the easier stuff, like lawn care and landscaping. But I still come home late, like tired out. Like a lot of the jobs we do, like we're in the summer, where in Michigan, it gets pretty hot in the summer. Like it'll be in the 80s sometimes. Like
you should come work down here.
You should come
work down in South Florida one summer. Yeah, you got
it's
like 105 average on the daily.
Probably crazy, but I'd come home with like literally like green legs from weed whacking and shorts. Yeah. Like just have like I'd have to like go shower. I'd have to like clean all my clothes and stuff. And the one thing with blue collar workers and like just the industry in general is I think that's a great experience, not only for like building character, but also just teaching how to grind, man. Like I'm even doing a couple gas money jobs when I go back. Nice. Like I wouldn't even consider myself fully transitioned. Like I was still grinding jobs last summer, and I'm still going to do jobs in like the short month I have in Michigan before I move out and like start working. But like it's one of those things like it's a great skill to have. And I've seen like a trend recently where a lot of people that go into blue collar industries are like increasingly starting their own businesses based on those experiences, because it teaches you to like have pride in your work. Yeah. When you go into college and like when you get a career, a lot of the work you do in most scenarios is for somebody above you.
Exactly.
Whereas in the blue collar industry and a lot of similar industries where you're like working with your hands, like you take pride in that work, like you're the only one, like you're contributing to something more than you, but also like you are the one who like has control over your
and you have something work. Like to show for it, like immediately.
Yeah.
Like immediately you can like show like this is my work. This is the value of my work.
And a lot of the people I've met in that industry too are like some of the most genuine people ever. And they're the ones that are probably in the most pain. Like it's physically tolling on your body. With plumbing, like
crazy, man. Like I was like, I mean, I shouldn't have been, but I was like 17 on like job sites, like that sucked. Like, I was the youngest guy on the job sites, and most of the guys I were working with were like over 40 years old. So, you do it for long enough. It's definitely taxing on your body. And, but like you said, like there's some of the most genuine people. I learned like a lot of great life lessons from like most of the guys I were working with where it could have been like my father's age, or even some of them could be like my grandfather practically, like with some of them, how old they were and they were still working. And, I like what you said, that it's like a great experience, because I think after doing that in high school, I think everybody, you should at least do something, like even if it's like a summer job or something like that, or an internship, whatever. It might not be the career you want, but I think you should learn. And my high school business teacher she talked about this a lot. No matter what you want to do in life, work outside like once. Like go do a summer job outside. Like go cut grass or whatever it is. Just be outside and like. Do you want to work outside all day, or do you want to work inside? And, you could really, you get that one-time experience. You're like, you know what? This isn't something I want to do, but you have a greater appreciation for it now.
Yeah. And for gas money too, it adds credibility, because Austin and I were talking about it. Like if there were two like 40-year-old dudes that like took the corporate route and decided to start a business called Gas Money, like none of the contractors would respect that.
Yeah. Like who are they, like. And
for us, like we've done, like Austin and I combined have done, like as of now, over 50% of the total jobs. And that's including like 2020 before the app.
That's kind of crazy.
Like we fucking grinded, man. Yeah. Like we were getting.
But that's you though. Like you're a brand. You're like you said, you're genuine. You did, you're not just some kid in college. You're like, oh, I'm hiring out all these like high schoolers who need to go cut grass. Like, no, I was that high schooler. That was me. Yeah. I was sitting in their seat.
And what's awesome too is like, since we're still pretty small, like Austin's actually done a couple jobs like with first-time contractors, which is awesome.
That's pretty cool.
They're working with the co-founder.
That's kind of like undercover boss almost.
Yeah, which is cool. And like we're all transparent with it. We're like, yeah, like this is how we started. Like, go ahead and like send me a collaboration request like through the app, which is pretty cool. And then they've been loving it. Like it's a great way to kind of help mentor them. And that's one of the things we want to get into too in the future is like mentorship. And that's kind of the whole mission behind Gas Money, because on the surface level, like lawn care and landscaping to many people isn't life-changing. But for us, it really taught us in the beginning, like how to manage your schedule, how to communicate with people.
Yeah.
And especially for me, like I was pretty shy in high school. Like I had a good friend group and like I was pretty known by everybody just like based on like how I was doing with school. But for the most part, like I would never have the confidence to, especially like an older person, like just like start a conversation with them. You know, I was always nervous about other people's perceptions. And through doing gas money, you know, like door knocking on random people's doors, trying to like get them to have me mow their lawn or something. And now to like interviewing new contractors, just like not even necessarily interviewing, just like helping them get on the app, helping them understand the business model. You know, like I would say like gas money, and this is like in our mission, it's really like 3 things that have helped us and that we're trying to have other contractors benefit from. Is doing this helps you with leadership, helps you with accountability, helps you with communication. And that's our whole
a great
mission, man. Is you're doing lawn care, you're doing landscaping, but like you said, it builds character. And from that, our goal isn't to have contractors do gas money their whole life. Our goal is for them to work with gas money a few years, get that raw experience and like running their own business kind of, and then start a business of their own.
Yeah,
you know, like
and I think that's like the greatest thing. You know, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man how to fish, he eats for his whole life kind of scenario.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you said that because actually, one of my boys who I graduated with from undergrad, he went to college, didn't really know what he wanted to do, got his degree. Now he's back home, and it's funny because he's doing landscaping too. He was working with a guy, and he was an older gentleman. Now he's kind of like retired, but he kind of picked up his route. And I was just talking to him the other day, and he's picked up a couple more houses, so he's working for himself. And I don't know if you ever got the chance to meet them, but Clean Cut Brothers, they graduated. One of the brothers graduated last year from the college, and him and his brother run a landscaping company down in Wellington or Lake Worth, and they do something similar, but they do like their full commercial landscaping. They do commercial, residential. They also do landscape design, which is pretty cool because they actually they have design programs where they'll meet with the client and they'll like come up with a whole design for their landscaping. But they're pretty cool too. I think I should get you guys connected for sure. Yeah,
that'd be huge because I mean we're always trying to meet new people, especially in the industry, and just get advice and stuff. And it's just cool, man, just connecting with people. There's a lot of cool conversations you have with, like you said, people that are either in your industry or not. You know, that's the best way to learn.
Yeah, I think you can take a slice out of any conversation. You can learn. I think you can learn anything from any conversation you have. You just got to be like open to it.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people aren't open to it, and that's where you don't really learn from that.
Yeah, and you got to be open with anything in life. And kind of transitioning to like, I know I mentioned a little earlier in the podcast, like I'll be in Michigan a month and then moving out to like start working. And this is a decision that's like, it's been huge for me. Like a lot of thought has went into it. And essentially I accepted a sales position at ReliaQuest, which is a cybersecurity company. Nice. So I'll be like helping them sell cybersecurity. I'll be out in Salt Lake City, Utah, which I've never been to before. It's literally like all the way across the country, but I'm going to be there for a year and then hopefully move down to Tampa afterwards, either with them or full-time gas money, whichever goes. But, like just kind of being like transparent with that decision, like as a business owner and somebody who's focused on entrepreneurship, like the last thing a lot of people expect you to do or like would recommend for you to do is like go get a 9-to-5 job.
Exactly. It's kind of like
got a bad rep.
Opposite. Yeah.
Which like at first it seemed like a step in the completely wrong direction, but like transparency wise with gas money, like this is our first year being profitable, which is amazing.
Nice. Awesome.
But we're still like reinvesting everything into the company, and if we were to get an investor, just to ask for even like $40,000 a year for Austin and I, that's $80,000 of an investment that we'd have to like allocate towards ourselves. And that's a lot to ask for, especially in the early stages. So I thought about it a lot. And the way that I view it is this is a great experience for me to go out and get some like raw sales experience, make some amazing connections in a new location. So now we'll have Michigan, we'll have connections in Florida, and then now Salt Lake City. Yeah. And the biggest thing, man, is like, I'm still young. I'm turning 22 in like 2 or 3 weeks. It's one of those things where I know it'll probably take a little focus away from gas money, but at the same time, I see it as motivation for me to focus even more on gas money because I'm going to be like in the 9-to-5, like go to work, like learn as much as I can about sales, hopefully make a lot of sales and then go back to my apartment and like, I'm going to have to grind gas money when I get home. Like I'm already preparing myself to just like go like monk mode for a year. Like, I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's just like straight grinding. And as scary as it is, man, like I feel like it's a great experience for me just to understand like how the corporate world's set up, how to manage employees and everything like that. Obviously be able to pay rent and feed myself too. I got to make money.
Bills need to be paid. So,
but the main thing with this is it's a huge decision that I made. But it's one of those things like you got to be willing to take risks. And for me, yes, this like takes away from the risk of like going all in on gas money, which should obviously be way more risky. But the way I view it, instead of like say I went in all in on gas money, like went back to Michigan and was grinding. And if we didn't see traction or I started like not being able to pay for anything, that would make me resent gas money and see it as like a burden, if that makes sense. Yeah, whereas with this, it's like investing in like the main point I want to make is if you're young, like do what you think is best for you. Like at the end of the day, you got to take care of yourself. But if you're going to do something that might go like away from like your original mission or might seem like you're like losing focus in, like find a way to like frame it in your mind where it's like a benefit, because that's kind of what I've did. And like now I'm excited. Like I get to go out to a new city. I'm going to be on my own, but like there's a ton of connections to be made, hopefully a lot of money to be made. And like most of all, a lot of experience to be learned through doing this. And, you know, like I could do this 2 years and then go all in on gas money with like so much more experience. Just like, especially if people listening are in college or high school, if you have a decision like that, like even if it's just moving to a new city, like do it. Like now is the time to just like try new things out, you know?
No, yeah, I think everything you said was valid there. And I feel that too, because I'm in a position now where I'm graduating in August and I still don't really know what I want to do yet. Or, you know, and what I see, like you said, like the 9 to 5, it's, you know, it's a means to get skills, got to pay the bills, of course. And I still don't know what I want to do. And I'm, you know, my job's here. I'm going to start next month, like really, you know, sitting down because I want to stay in Tallahassee for another year. And I never thought I'd stay in Tallahassee, but, you know, I think it's a good place to be. There's a lot of connections to be made. We're in the capital of the state. And a lot of people, I don't think really realize the value of that and how much, you know, how much diversity runs through this city, how many different kinds of people run through the city. And, you know, you got to take advantage of that. 2, I never wanted to stay in Florida. I've been here almost my whole entire life. And I was like, you know, growing up where I'm from, you know, nothing really ever happened my whole entire life there. It's still a growing city. And I was like, I don't want to be in Florida. But now with this new company I want to start, which is like, I'm basically want to throw myself into the sport fishing industry. This is the place to be. It's one of the largest saltwater sport fishing states in the country. And it's funny because actually Michigan's up there too. Michigan's like the largest freshwater fishing state in the country, I believe. So it's like Michigan, you got Florida, Michigan, Texas too. So, you know, I had to come to terms with that this year. It's like, you know what, do I want to stay? Because I could be like anybody else. I could be like, yeah, I could go get a job, go out of state. But I think, you know, I had to come to terms with that, you know, like this is okay. This is what I want to do. This is the right thing for me at the moment. And I don't think I'll regret it. I think, you know, it'll be beneficial because I want my company needs to be based on the water. And this is the best place to be in the country for that. So, you know, being able to come to terms, you know, like frame in your mind, like, you know, this is going to be a benefit for you and you need to do what you can with that. I think that's a really hard mindset to get into, especially like when you go through college, you're like, oh, you should be getting a big time paying career. You should go out. And, you know, I think, like you said, like, I think it's what you make out of it. And it's the mindset you put yourself in, because you can go out to Utah and be like, oh, you know what? Like, this is what I want to do. I'm taking away time for gas money. You know, maybe I should put that down. Or like you said, you could say, you know, this is an opportunity, the network opportunity, skills, you know, and you take that with you and you put it back into, you know, what you're passionate about. And for me, whatever I pick up this coming year, will I be extremely passionate about it? Probably not. But will it help me get to my end goal? Most definitely.
Exactly. And it's one of those things like you said, it's a hard decision to make. And there's a lot of different ways you can view it. And it really just comes down to your mindset on it. And like for me, like I'm viewing it as getting paid to go to grad school, because I'll probably learn the same amount of skills that I would if I was paying for grad school, you know. And
that's it gets expensive.
I know, you know firsthand. But no, man, that's awesome. And like you said, Tallahassee's a great place. Like I've met so many cool people here.
Exactly. And people like to shit on it, like really heavy. And I think the one problem I have with that, and this is for all the college students out there, all you do is go out and party. Partying is fun. Don't get me wrong. been there, partying up in the dorm rooms. Probably shouldn't. I don't condone underage drinking. But we were all there. We were all 18 once. First time away from home. Probably for a lot of us, first time away from home. And a lot of people hear, "Oh, Tallahassee, it sucks. It's shitty. It's this, it's that." It's like, but what do you do? What are you doing with your time? Are you just going to school and you're just going out every weekend, every Friday? I mean, shit, man, I had friends in freshman year going out every single day. I'm like, how are you doing that? But I feel like, I think, obviously there's some places, there's no room for growth. But I think, for Tallahassee, it is the capital. There's a lot of opportunities here. There's a major university here. There's several universities here. So like, I think if you really put in that, it's what you put in, you get out what you put in.
Yeah. And just going off of that too, like there's one piece of advice I had for like when you're going to college or when you're choosing a career, choosing a business, like if you grow up in a small town like I did, like go to a big city, like you're going to miss your family at first. Like I was homesick for a couple months when I started out, and I know it's going to be hard going to Utah for the first few months. Like I'm going to have nobody out there other than my coworkers.
Yeah.
But like the potential connections you're missing out on if you decide to either stay home or like go to a city like near yours that might be still small, like going to a big city. And I know Tallahassee's it's the capital.
It's the ninth largest city in the state, I believe.
Yeah, so it's pretty big. Just like the experience in going there and like having more access to more connections and like forcing yourself to like talk to people is so powerful. Because when I came down to Florida State, like I'm the first, well, I don't quote me on this, but I don't know anybody else from my high school that's gone here. So like
that means a lot, yeah.
Every single person I've met down here has been a new person, which is insane because now I've like had like an amazing friend group. Like I got to meet you. I've got to meet a ton of different business owners. Like, like it's awesome. Like, because when I first came down, I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't want to be a loser who just sits inside and doesn't have any friends because like, I literally didn't even know my roommate when I moved in. Like, I just like messaged him on Insta. I was like, hey man, like you're the first person I'm going to know in Tallahassee.
Yeah. What's up? What's good?
Let's go meet people. So, yeah, man, just like putting yourself in uncomfortable situations is usually the best way to invest in yourself because it forces you to like get out of that situation. And for me, I was uncomfortable because I didn't have any friends down here. I didn't know anybody. So I was like, all right, let's change that.
Started going out. Yeah, 100%. And I kind of feel that way too, because I wasn't the only person from my high school to go here, but I didn't really know the people who went here. So I was kind of in the same boat. It's like, I'm kind of by myself. So it was almost like, I think for those of you listening out there, if you're going to college, like especially if you're going in the fall, like it's going to be your first year graduating high school now, like, it's kind of almost like a time to reinvent yourself. And I don't mean to not be genuine about yourself, but, you kind of get a clean slate, especially if you're going to a place where you don't know anybody. You can kind of like, you could change things, you could leave things behind, you can like reinvent yourself almost. And I think that's a great opportunity. And I don't think I would have changed it for anything. I mean, it was either this or UF, so I think I
made the better choice.
Yeah, I made the better choice.
Yeah. No, you just got to choose your best qualities.
No, for sure.
Just focus on those.
All right, so I think we're going to wrap this up. Real quick, though, let's get a shot of the merch.
So
gas money.
You guys
merch.
can't see here. Let me move this out of the way. So this is the Do Cool Shit shirt. Great for the gym. Great for if you're going to the beach.
Great for cutting lawns,
too. Great for cutting lawns, yeah. You feels better to sweat in this than in a polo or something. So this is like probably my personal favorite. We also got Gas Money Visor. We got the Chase Your Dreams visor. And we also have this in the hoodie, which this is also one of my favorite designs. Very motivational, obviously.
And where can we find this merchandise?
Yeah, so it's our merch website. It's gasmoneygear.com. So you can also find it if you go to our main website, which is gasmoney.app. If you're interested in working or if you just want to learn more, obviously feel free to connect with us. But just want to show this one last shirt I brought too. It is Take the Leap. So
I like that.
Behind this, if you're deciding to go into college, if you want to start a business, anything you want to do, just got to go for it. Take the leap.
Thanks, Rob. Also, we're gonna get your Instagram.
Okay.
We're gonna put that in the video. So
awesome, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah,
awesome.
I appreciate it. Thank you again for taking time out of your day. I know you're a busy man, so I appreciate it. I mean, I feel like this is kind of like me giving back to you now after you had me on your podcast a couple years ago.
Yeah, no, this is awesome, man. I'm excited to hear it and excited to see the growth too. I mean, especially like with the new business.
Yeah, of course. It's
obviously we'll
big
talk
things
more
coming.
about that.
Big things coming.
Yeah, big things coming for both of us. So it's been awesome, man.
It's been a pleasure. All right, guys. Thank you. That's another episode for the books. Make sure you give it a listen and share it if you like. And we'll be back next time.
Sweet. Dude, that went good. Kind of like how that